can always count on Codemasters to deliver a quality racer. They're one of the genre's best practitioners, and since getting the license to make F1 games, they've done a phenomenal job, and that's again the case with F1 2011. But it's important to note that Codemasters didn't handle the development of this version, and unfortunately that's clear after just a few laps with F1 2011 on the Nintendo 3DS. That's not to say F1 2011 is as awful on the 3DS as I am at F1 2011, but there is an obvious contrast between Codemasters' console versions and this handheld version, which is frankly exceedingly mediocre. And compared to its home console cousins, the quality gap seems even wider. F1 2011 is brought to the 3DS by Sumo Digital. And to be fair, while they're not quite Codemasters, they do have experience making F1 and racing titles in general. But the problem with F1 2011 on the 3DS is that it just lacks the same polish and pizzazz it has on the consoles. For example, the intro cinematic doesn't even use the system's 3D effect. It's a flat 2D video on a system with 3D video. That really sets the tone for the rest of the game, giving the clear indication that this is the B game, so to speak. And there's nothing wrong with that necessarily, but the issue is that the 3DS version of F1 2011 actually comes closer to being the C game. A presentation is obviously the chief culprit here. The game just doesn't look great, and the frame rate is also pretty inconsistent. When you get several cars on the screen at once, the game's performance is often going to take a hit. And your opponent's AI is also pretty maddening at times. I mean, I'm admittedly terrible when it comes to these realistic racing games, but it seemed pretty strange when the leading cars were so far ahead that I never saw them. And meanwhile, there are cars bringing up the rear who were so far behind that I refuse to believe they were moving forward whatsoever. It's like the game throws you in the middle and expects most people will be fine with just finishing in the top 10. And why not be content with existing right in the middle of the pack, just like this game? But at least the game does stay in the middle, and that's due to its solid controls and gameplay. F1 2011 plays pretty well on the 3DS, and it does a great job recreating the challenging and realistic gameplay the series is known for. This is an extremely complex racer for racing fans. Obviously, it's not for me. Fortunately, the game is so obviously successful at what it's trying to do, you have to appreciate it for what it is. Even on the 3DS, it at least plays well, and if you're like me and you don't know anything about F1, the game does provide a helping hand. There are plenty of assists to help you in the races, the most noticeable of which is the thin green line that shows you the best angle for taking turns, and even changes color if you're approaching them too fast. In addition to just playing well, F1 2011 is also surprisingly intact when it comes to features. It has plenty of different options and modes, including full seasons and championships. And to have all that stuff on the 3DS is a really nice addition. But the problem, aside from my gameplay, is that the majesty of the console versions is lacking on the 3DS version. Add frustrating AI to the presentation letdowns, and it's hard to say that anyone other than the die-hard F1 racing fan should take this version of F1 2011 for a spin.